All right, let's get started. So, OpenAI O1 model, why is this important? So, what I think is that for each and every one of us in this age of AI development, rapid AI development, it's really important to stay updated on the progress of AI development because I think that lots of jobs and companies are going to be affected in 2025. So, how comes? Personally, I'm a programmer, and a couple of years ago, I realized that software development is not going to be the same due to the advance of artificial intelligence. So, we already have some tools, for instance, Devin, which is capable of analyzing a problem that it was given, coming up with steps on how to tackle this problem, then writing code, running the code, doing QA testing, fixing bugs, and finally even doing the deployment. So, what does that mean for us developers? It actually shifts us from the role of software developer to a role of technical project manager. So this example is I mean actually tied to software development realm, but other jobs will be either affected positively or negatively by the AI development. So you will probably either benefit or suffer from the advance of AI. So you don't want to be on the side that will suffer from AI advancements. You want to find yourself on the side that will benefit from AI advancements. How can you do that? The best thing that you can do is, for the time being, stay informed, keep track of the AI tools and the way they develop, not think that this is kind of the bubble that will burst at some time and everything will go back to normal. That's not going to happen. Too much money is involved. The technology is rapidly evolving and there's no turning back to where we were. So, regarding the adoption of generative AI, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis recently did a study, a research, to find out the adoption of generative AI in the US. So what they found out is that generative AI is actually used by about 40% of Americans on a daily basis. So if we compare this to other groundbreaking technologies that we use in our daily lives, those are PCs and the internet, we can see that the adoption is at least twice as higher for generative AI than it was for the internet. So we are at about 40% with generative AI comparing to about 20% for the internet. And as the time progresses, the adoption rate will probably tend to follow the curves that we are seeing for PC and internet adoptions, but I think that it will be more kind of a logarithmic scale type of curve that will rise as the advancement of AI technology is speeding up. So the advancement of AI technology is not linear as we are used to in some other areas of tech. It's actually exponential. So a couple of years ago, we had like groundbreaking discoveries in AI every half or every year, half of year. But now we have groundbreaking new models, groundbreaking techniques and research being published on a weekly basis. So it's definitely advancing at a super rapid pace. So with this new model update on September the 12th, we gotten ourselves a new OpenAI model that was previously codenamed as QStar or the Strawberry in the last couple of months. So the QStar was particularly fun to observe, like all the gossip and all the various, I don't know, things going around the supposed like new model that OpenAI is exploring and creating. I particularly liked the story about two guys that kind of I think that they worked at supposedly worked at OpenAI, and they used their latest Q-star model to give it a task to update its own code. And they left it running overnight. And when they came back in the morning, they kind of panicked because it created some improvements that even they couldn't understand. They didn't know whether it was good, bad, whatever. They just panicked and shut it down. So I don't think that we should panic that OpenAI 01 will rewrite itself to, I don't know, eradicate humanity or whatever. Because in the last 3 to 6 months, OpenAI has been actually hard at work red teaming this model, making sure that it's safe to use and making sure that it doesn't give you recipes for a bomb or how to create drugs. But let's dive a bit deeper into what's new and different about OpenAI's O1 model comparing to their previous models or comparing to other models that are commercially available to use. So OpenAI's O1 model actually spends more time thinking through problems before it responds, much like us humans would. So if we are given a hard task, we will not respond right away. Even if we do, our answer would probably be incorrect or vague. In order to respond with certainty to a complicated question or a task, we need to take a step back and then, I don't know, maybe divide the big problem into a bunch of easier problems that we can solve much easier. Then by solving those easier problems, we've actually solved the big problem and then we can respond. So this is kind of the process that we see going in OpenAI's O1 model. And you can actually see it if you are OpenAI ChatGPT subscriber, and if you use O1 model, then there's like a small button that will show you the reasoning process, and you can actually use that to continue your conversation with the model in a certain direction, knowing the way it thinks, or you can even see the thinking process, and maybe if the answer is incorrect, see why it was incorrect, and again, have a more meaningful conversation with the model. So in their blog post that is available at the link I'm showing on the screen, OpenAI claims that the model update performs similarly to PhD students on challenging benchmarking tasks in physics, chemistry, and biology, and that it excels in math and coding. But yeah, what about real world? What about real people? Have they tested one model with some real PhD level problems? I've found a couple of examples. The first one is by Terence Tao. He's a professor of mathematics at the University of California. So there's more detail in his post on the right-hand side of the screen, but essentially the experience as Professor Tao reported seemed roughly on par with trying to advise a mediocre but not completely incompetent graduate student. So this might seem a bit harsh, but please remember that a month ago we were comparing GPT-4 model with uh, a high schooler. But right now we are no longer comparing the model behavior or responses with a high schooler, but with academic um, level of education. So this is actually a huge, huge leap. Another example is by David Shapiro, who reported that his PhD friend used O1 against a very tough CFD, like computational fluid dynamics problem, and it almost got it right the first time. So this friend of David's was amazed that he got the almost right answer the first time. So he had to kind of just give it a bit more feedback to have the perfect answer from the model, which is huge. Like, all right, we can see that in mathematics, which traditionally for generative AI is a problematic area. In computational fluid dynamics, obviously, it worked much, much better. So the third example is by Daria Unutmaz, who is a professor, actually a medical scientist working at the Jackson Laboratory. So he had O1 write a major cancer treatment project based on a very specific immunological approach. It created the full framework of the project in under a minute with highly creative aims, approaches, and even considerations for potential pitfalls and alternative strategies. So the Riot said that if he did this by hand, not only that it would take him weeks to do the work that the model did in a minute, but also said that model suggested some potential pitfalls that even he probably would have missed. So we can see that in medical science, the O1 model is doing pretty good, pretty good. So let's analyze a bit how was this achieved. So it actually boils down to these three major techniques used by O1, which are chain of thought, reflection, and Monte Carlo tree search. So this is not coming from OpenAI. This is coming from the scientific community that analyzed O1's behavior and the way it works. So let's analyze one by one. So what is chain of thought? It's a prompting technique, a prompting method that guides AI models to break down complex problems into step-by-step reasoning processes, much like a human would think through a problem. So instead of just asking for an answer, we're essentially asking the AI to show its work, like I explained a bit earlier. So chain of thought is a prompting technique that was introduced by, I forgot which institution, but it's actually, there is a science paper that came out about 2 years ago. And in the past 2 years, as we've seen the progression of large language models, there had been like dozens, it's probably hundreds of scientific papers that came out just around the prompt engineering subject. Prompt engineering is so important that I think if we remember the figure of 40% of Americans using generative AI, I'd like to see a research that shows us how advanced their prompts are and how good the answers they think they are getting from the AI models, the LLMs. Because I believe that maybe 5 to 10% of people are actually taking the best advantage of LLMs by using not advanced, but actually using prompt engineering as a technique. I have a prompt engineering course that I give in my workshops, and it teaches various other methods, but chain of thought reasoning is one advanced method that really helps you tackle some hard problems. So with prompt engineering, you don't have to use it like for super simple prompts, obviously, but if you're doing at least a minorly complex work, you probably want to learn about prompt engineering a bit more. So I'd suggest that you take some time and investigate this subject. So reflection is another technique being used. So the LLM generates an initial response to a query. It is then prompted to reflect on this response, considering aspects like accuracy, completeness, and potential biases. So what this means is that LLM actually acts almost like an agent, another agent that is invited to inspect the work of the first LLM. So one LLM generates a response, thinks hard through the process, the problem, and delivers its best response. And then comes another AI and looks at these answers, the reasoning process, and then it evaluates if it's good. If it thinks that it can be improved, then it delivers its response, and then the first agent thinks hard again and reiterates through the process, like those two work together, or it can be even more complex with more agents or whatever to get the final result. So I'm not saying there is actually a straightforward agentic approach in OpenAI's O1. We don't know what's under the hood, but reflection is definitely a part of the OpenAI's O1 process. And finally, we have this Monte Carlo tree search technique, which is a heuristic search algorithm used for decision-making processes, particularly in games and other sequential decision problems. So this technique is believed to be used by a model as a kind of a pathfinding technique. So to be able to solve complex problems, there are multiple paths that you can take. So this Monte Carlo tree search is actually a technique to determine which is the best possible route to take to solve a particular problem. So we've seen in the past 2 years that we have a pretty strong open source alternatives to cutting edge commercial AI tools. So the open source community has been fast to kind of wrap up some O1 alternatives. We know now, at least on a high level, how O1 works, and then certain researchers, groups of people got together and started working on an alternative. So these are just 3 examples. Raspberry is actually ran by a guy I mentioned a minute ago, Dave Shapiro. Then there's Open O1, there's a G1 project, and they all have pretty good results. So they are not, 100% mimicking the responses of O1 in terms of quality, but they rank really high on certain tests that they had. So if we compare open source to the original, then we can see that O1 actually incorporates some more advanced techniques like reinforcement learning to evaluate and refine reasoning, some other techniques such as dynamic inference for adaptable decision making, and it generally has a significantly higher accuracy on complex tasks than comparing to the open source solutions. But by closely following the development of AI in the past 2 years, I can say that open source is about 3 months late comparing to the commercial cutting edge or AI software. So it's not going to be long until we have similar solutions that are comparable to the current performance of one model. Another interesting paper that comes out from a former OpenAI employee, Leopold Asherbrenner, came out during the summer, and his paper focuses on the general idea of intelligence explosion. So he claims that there are only kind of a handful of people that are currently aware of the superintelligence explosion that is imminent. It's not something that will happen in 100 years or 50 years. The conclusion is that it's about to happen in the next couple of years. So this is a graph that shows the prediction of the development of certain models and where we were at 2023 with GPT-4 at a level of a smart schooler is quickly surpassed by O1 model right now at late 2024. And I think that this graph actually, holds true. We already have a model that is on a academic level of thinking and behavior. So if you want to, and I encourage you to learn more about this paper, there's a situationalawareness.ai website which dives deep into this subject, and I'd say prepares you well for the future ahead. OpenAI had kind of came up with a scale of stages of artificial intelligence development. So up until recently, we were at level 1 with chatbots and AI with conversational language. But with O1, we've actually moved to a level 2, which are reasoners, human level problem solving. So I think that we won't have to wait long before we reach the level 3, which are agents, systems that can take action, and then with those systems, we won't have to wait long until we have innovators or AI that can aid in invention. So this is probably the AGI level. There were some guys even claiming that we are at the AGI level right now with the release of O1, but I don't think so. But I think that it's really close and will probably happen within the next year. And then everything is kind of open. We don't know what's going to happen with the advent of such technology, but that's probably a good subject for another live stream or a YouTube video. And we have level 5 with the organization of different AIs that can do work of an entire organization. So think of this stage as AI creating virtual companies that are capable of doing, company level complex sort of things. There were some people, actually lots of people, AI researchers and similar, that thought that we are at the peak of AI development, and right now it's going to slow down for various reasons. For the price of computation, the lack of resources like the chips, lack of data to train the new AI models, and maybe even lack of innovation. But I think that we can safely say that AI is not slowing down. There are insane number of computational centers, like data centers, being built by the US and by the Chinese. And we are on track to have some huge advancements in the following months. And we will also have more updates from OpenAI. We are expecting the Orion model. From Google, we are expecting Gemini 2, then Grok 3 by xAI, and Claude 3.5 Opus, also released by Anthropic. So, I mean, like I said at the beginning, it's really important to keep track of all of this and make sure that you are on the side that benefits from the development of AI. That was it for this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and let's connect on LinkedIn. I would like to apologize for the technical problems I've had at the beginning of this live stream. And also, I would like to announce the subject for my next live stream next Wednesday at the same time. It will be about the live voice mode by OpenAI, which was released in the past week or so. It was gradually released throughout the world. So I've got it on my phone, I think 2 days ago. I played a bit with it, and it's amazing. And I will try to come up with some nice use cases showcasing what this technology can do. And I hope you will enjoy that as well. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all next Wednesday. Take care.